You're watching Fugitive Redeye, and welcome to another episode of Redeye Raw. I was debating whether to do this as a Redeye Raw or a rant, but since I've done a couple of rants recently, figured I'd do this one as a Redeye Raw. Again, there's a lot of overlap with the two series, but what are you going to do? So today I'm going to be talking about Xbox Video, also known now as Xbox Movies and TV, and it was at a brief time known as Zune Video. But yeah, it's the way you watch movies that you buy digitally on Xbox. I've made it no secret that I have a lot of issues with modern technology and a lot of the problems it tends to have nowadays. I've also made it pretty clear I'm not the biggest fan on how modern technology keeps getting more and more internet dependent on many things. So, as an aside, we also, here we have really good internet, right? We have an internet known as Utopia, which is supposed to just kick ass. It's supposed to be some of the best fucking internet you can get. And I'll say this, for uploading my videos, it does kick ass. Our up speed is great. But occasionally we'll have a bunch of problems that we simply shouldn't, specifically when we're playing on Xbox and things like that. One thing I've noticed that I've had an issue with lately has been watching movies that I own on my Xbox digitally on my movies and TV. Now I think there's two factors that could be affecting this. Number one, the new internet, as I've talked about, having issues, because it does tend to have a few weird issues here and there with Xbox. But also, since I upgraded my console to the Xbox One X that Danny gave me for my birthday, I've been having more issues than I did on my old Xbox. That said, I don't know if it's necessarily that, because I've transferred everything over, I've re-downloaded the app, and I made this my home Xbox. But for some reason it has issues. But this wouldn't be a problem if this functioned in the way that it used to on the 360. On the Xbox 360, there was a nice little button on any video that you bought. And do you know what that button was? It was a download button. Let you just save the fucking movies to the hard drive. Damn, I missed that download button. I've read some things online that say if you're doing it on the PC, you can download stuff. But I think you have to have Windows 10, which my main computer doesn't. And I also don't know if that's true for current versions of Microsoft's movies and TV. If it is, maybe I'll see if it'll work with my Windows 7. I don't know. I know that Microsoft isn't big on supporting Windows 7 anymore because they want everyone to have Windows 10. And frankly, I don't like a lot of things about Windows 10 because it's basically got spyware built into it. And it's also got to be online for a lot more things that you didn't have to be in the older ones. And it just isn't compatible with certain older apps, too. But yeah, on the 360, it had a download button. I'm wondering if they patched that out in later updates. But you might be saying, oh, well, they got rid of that because, people could just download it. And then, they wouldn't have to, like, they could maybe share it with their friends or something. I don't know. But the thing is it only lets you download it on one Xbox, on the one that was your main Xbox. And as long as it was the one that was originally purchased on, then it could be downloaded. And I think that's a good compromise, although I do think once I buy it, I should be able to download it on whatever the fuck device I want. I understand the fear of, piracy and shit like that, but I don't think it's that big of an impact, especially if someone buys it. But again, I have a bunch of... I dropped the phone there, and since this is a Redeye Raw, that's staying in. But since I have a bunch of shit saved on my old original Xbox hard drive, that's all pretty cool. I can still use that anytime I want to use my old 360. I said original Xbox, but I meant 360. Yeah, on my old school 360, my original one, on the hard drive, I do have a few things here and there downloaded. And some of these things you can't even get anymore. Like, for instance, there was this double feature with the first episode of Bob's Burgers with the Family Guy episode New Kidney in Town. You can't get that on your Xbox One video library. The only way I still have that is because it's downloaded on the hard drive of my original Xbox 360. And I've probably talked about this before, but I remember as on another side note, right? Another thing I used to love doing on Xbox Video was just going on and watching all the trailers for all these movies to see if I wanted to see them. I've probably brought it up before, like I said, but I used to watch a lot of trailers for the Nightmare on Elm Street movies before I'd seen them. This was back in high school, mind you. I didn't really watch a lot of the slasher movies until high school. I saw a few when I was a kid, don't get me wrong. I saw Halloween 6 when I was, 7. And I saw Freddy vs. Jason not too long after it originally came out, and I was 10, 11 at that time, something like that. And I saw Silence of the Lambs at way too young of an age. But point is, I've I would watch the slasher trailers, and I would also watch the trailers over and over again for Killer Clowns from Outer Space, which is a great horror comedy. I love that movie. Another thing about technology updating is everything has to be, like, oversimplified now. Like, they removed certain things you could do on Facebook that you just can't anymore. Like, you used to be able to do, like, you used to be able to put movies you've watched as a fucking, like a section on your Facebook About page. That section still exists, but you can't add to it. Like, you can't add to the movies you've watched and the movies you want to watch, movies you like. You can't do that anymore. But every website looks the same and boring now. Like, it's just got the white background that you can swap out for the dark mode, and then it's got the really simplistic, like, buttons on it. It's so stupid. Sites used to have their own unique looks, and now they just don't. Everything looks the same. Facebook looks the same as Twitter. YouTube looks the same as them, too. Like, everything's trying to be, like, the same on mobile as it is on PC. And so because of that, everything is like the shitty, inferior mobile version is just, like, the norm now for every fucking thing. Yeah, but hopefully these issues on our internet isn't, like, a recurring thing. Especially since we're supposed to have really good, kick-ass internet. But, yeah, at the very least, we have really good upload speed. So I bet you streaming probably wouldn't be too hard either when I eventually decide to start doing that again. Yeah, Xbox video used to be really cool. But, you know, everything's, like, greedy now. Like, everything has to be stuff as a service. Again, that's the reason I'm, like, against Game Pass, even though I have used it, and I did have it up until a couple days ago, and I'll probably be getting it again, because, again, it's the simplest way to get Xbox Live now, and I've heard they're even going to be doing away with Xbox Live. Imagine how shocked I wasn't, because I knew that they were going to do that eventually, because at some point, I think Game Pass, what they're gunning for is to make it the only way to play games. I think they're trying to do away with the concept of owning games in the future. I just think they're taking baby steps to get there. You know, like boiling a frog in water. It's going to jump out if you throw it in a hot pot of water. But yeah, everyone sees, like, streaming and shit like that as, like, the future. And, obviously I have problems with that. I think that physical media is important, because you can have older versions of stuff that's not censored to meet modern standards, because a lot of shows will go back and re-edit or even outright remove episodes to fit modern standards. So that's definitely something that physical media needs to stick around for. But yeah, I got pissed off that I couldn't continue watching something when I'm at the fucking end of the episode here. I've been watching this, so I was watching Lost Tapes Season 1, right? And I was getting close to the end of the episode I was on, and now it kept not loading and not loading. Then it said, "You're not connected to the internet," even though I very much am, and I've checked the connection multiple times on it. And it's like, if you're sure you're connected, make sure there's no proxy or firewall settings or some shit. I don't know. I remember it was doing that earlier, and then I restarted it, and then it was fine. But then it started doing it again when I got towards the end of the episode. So I don't know why these things have all these problems. I've also been using, like, Netflix and Hulu all day today, so again, I'm not the biggest fan of those services either, but I don't pay for those. I don't pay for any of the streaming services I use. I get those because people I know have them. Because that's the only way I would tolerate having a streaming service, just because of how much I don't want to monetarily support it, but when you can create multiple user accounts on one profile, why the fuck would we not? But yeah, I've rambled about this for a bit. I definitely think that you should be able to download the things you purchase. If you're able to do it on PC, I might see if it'll let me do that on my Windows 7 desktop. I do have a laptop with Windows 10, but it's slow, beat up, and is a total piece of shit, and also hasn't been connected to our new internet yet. And that would take a while to do, just because of how slow and shitty that laptop is. Like I said, that laptop's seen better days. Like, it's like I said, it's slow, but, like, the thing is I've had it for fucking years, right? I got it when I started college, which was back in... When the fuck was that? That was back in, 2015? Something like that? So I've had that computer for a fat minute. Might have even been 2014. I honestly don't remember exactly when I started college. But it's slow, a lot of the memory's taken up, and sometimes the disk drive or hard drive or something starts making, like, a lot of buzzing noises, and you gotta give it a smack, which I'm sure is terrible for it. Thank God I don't really use that thing much anymore, though I do have some old stuff archived on it that isn't on anything else. But I have checked, and it does work. I did power it up recently, not that long ago. I just haven't connected to the new internet, and it would take forever to do so. But yeah, no, if I can download stuff on my Windows 7 computer with that, that'll solve the problem of when it starts having internet problems, because here's the thing, I'm watching it on the Xbox. I want to be able to just download it in case my internet gives out, because I like not being internet dependent. I like being able to just continue doing what I'm doing if the internet cuts out, which is why I love physical media. Anyway, I've gone on and on. It's been 10 minutes here. Toodles.